watches or having the cool shoes, and you thinking, oh, if I could really have money, then I could have these things that would make me feel cool or feel better. But if we can approach life and just be like, man, life is so good with what I have, that is true wealth. I asked them, if money walked in and you were at a party, how would you respond? And they said, I would run to the bar. I would not make eye contact. I would gossip behind their back to other people there about money. I would look down at them, but then I would use them and abuse them because I would really need money. And I would ghost them afterwards. And I go, wow. And they were like, yeah, I know, it's really bad. But they were being honest. So I want people to be honest. Like, what is your relationship with money? And just imagine.
That's crazy.
If you were money and someone treated you that way.
I remember the day after I realized I was 4 months away from being broke, I must have emailed 1,000 people saying, I will do anything. Here are my skills. I will edit videos. I will consult. I'll run your social media. Those weren't things I wanted to do in my life, but I needed to create a foundation from which I could then invest that into what I wanted to do. And actually that year, everything I made, I invested into starting this podcast. So everything I made this year went into launching On Purpose because that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to edit other people's videos. I didn't want to launch social media profiles. I didn't want to coach and consult, but I had those skills. And I think this is one of the things sometimes is that we all have skills that are valuable somewhere. And they may not be the skills that you want to do for the rest of your life.
No, but the season of life.
But the season of life. And I think there's something to be said for that because we all want to be paid for what we love doing. But even my life today, there's a lot of things I have to do. And there's a lot of things I love to do. And that's life.
Yeah, like you said, the seasonal side of things, like when I was just getting started making money, this was in 2008, 2009, 2010, I was using LinkedIn as a platform and a tool to meet CEOs, executives, and business leaders. And I was helping them originally with their LinkedIn profile. And it's just saying, hey, how can I help you optimize your profile? I see that it's missing some things here. I'll do it for free. And I did this to build relationships with them. And through that, they just all wanted to help me and give back to me. And then eventually someone said, hey, I'll pay you for this. This is really helpful. And I was like, oh, I can make money on LinkedIn. It's not what I wanted to do, but I had a skill to do it right then. So I did that for a few years. And once I had that foundation, I used that money to launch the School of Greatness as well, because I had a couple of years of runway now. And I didn't want to do that forever, but I did it for the season. I got skills, I made money, and I created a sense of freedom for myself to do what I really wanted to do later.
Yeah. What do you have to say to people who are saying like you can manifest money? Do you agree with that idea of?
It's an interesting story. I was in New York last week, and I said to myself, and I have a lot of these different exercises and games in the book, to just give people as social experiments. I think it's really powerful to give yourself experiment, because I think when you experiment, you allow yourself to explore possibilities. And when you create an experiment for yourself, you allow for the idea of magic to enter your life. So I want you to just, as you're watching or listening, I want you to say, I allow for magic and abundance to manifest in my life. I'm going to create a possibility that this can happen in my life. A moment, a synchronicity. Someone might call me out of the blue. Someone might hand me money randomly. I'm going to allow for this moment to happen and this magic to happen. So I said to myself, I want to follow my own practices, right? And I went to see our friend Mel Robbins in Boston, and then I was in New York for a few days. And I just said to myself, money comes to me abundantly and freely, and I see it everywhere. I just said this to myself every morning when I woke up and when I went out of the hotel. I said, money comes to me abundantly and freely, and I see it everywhere. And I'm a magnet for money. I'm a magnet for money. I just kept saying this energy. I'm a magnet for money. I was just playful, this social experiment. And when I was at Mel's, a penny dropped on the floor. Someone was carrying a box and a penny fell. And I said, oh, look, money comes to me. I see it everywhere. There's a penny.
Yeah.
And there's a point to this story. And I pick it up and I say, Mel, do you want this? And she goes, no, it's yours. And I go, thank you, I receive. Because when I relax, I receive. And I'm a magnet for money. Even if it was a penny, I could notice it. And I was like, all right, it came to me. See, here's a win. Here's a little win. Let me do this again. The next day I go to New York City and I'm in the subway. It's freezing right now in New York. It's like 15 degrees. And I'm just saying this to myself in the subway. And as I get off the subway, I go up the stairs and it's freaking filthy in the New York subway, right? And the stairs are dirty and I see a penny heads up. And I thought to myself, this is filthy. This is dirty. It's not valuable. It's not enough money. I don't need to pick this up. But I was like, no, I'm doing this experiment. Money comes to me abundantly and freely. I'm a magnet for money, and I'm going to manifest money, right? And so I see it's heads up. I pick it up, put it in my pocket, and I just say, thank you, money, for coming to me. The next day, I put it on my bedside table. I don't think anything of it. The next day, I wake up and I look at this penny, and I said, because I'm doing this experiment every day, I'm a magnet for money. Money comes to me abundantly and freely. And I look at it as a reminder, these 2 pennies. Look, this is a reminder that money came to me. Maybe it's not thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. It's not something that's magically right in here, but it's a reminder that something is possible. And I flipped over this one penny. Oh, no, I looked at the penny because it was heads up, and I noticed something. I go, oh, that's really interesting. It said 1945 on this penny. That's an 80-year-old penny. And I go, huh, that's unique. I haven't seen a penny that old in a long time. And I flip it over, and I notice something, and I get chills thinking about it. I notice it's a wheat penny. I don't know if you know what a wheat penny is.
No, I don't.
So a wheat penny looks different than a normal penny. It's got like 2 stalks of wheat on the outside of the penny. It's this old penny. And I look it up and I Google 1945 wheat penny value. And one just sold, I kid you not, I get chills thinking about it. One just sold, guess for how much?
I have no idea.
$4,000.
No way.
Online. One sold for $4,000. Now, it's all based on the condition and all these different things. Like, who knows? Maybe it's worth $20. Maybe it's worth $5,000. Maybe it's worth $100. But the idea is that there was more value inside of that penny than what met the eye originally.
Yeah.
And the experiment of, let me be open to possibilities for money to come to me. And what I thought was 2 pennies might be $2,000. And all I had to do was be willing to look for it.
Yeah.
Be willing to pick it up and say, I receive, thank you. If I didn't look for it, if I didn't set that intention, if I didn't see the possibilities in front of me, I may not have received that penny that would be worth thousands. And it's the same thing in life. We may not see the opportunity in front of us right now. We may not reach out to the people we already know and say, hey, this is what I'm looking to create in my life. I have these skills, I have these talents. Is there anything that you need right now that I can be of service for you with?
Yeah.
And that's for that first year, how you created multiple 6 figures in that first year when you had nothing, was reaching out to hundreds of people. That was you either setting the intention, seeing that there might be possibilities, and doing the work to manifest hundreds of thousands that first 6 months. So by doing that effort, setting the intention, by saying, I'm open to possibilities. I'm open to receiving opportunities that come to me, but I have to be willing to look for them. I have to be willing to ask for them. I have to be willing to put myself out there and receive and say, yes, thank you. I will do this work. And that's what I think people need to be thinking about. Can you manifest millions? Yes, if you're willing to set a clear intention, if you're willing to reach out and say, here's what I'm willing to offer and add value in. I want to help you achieve these goals. You're creating more potential to manifest money.
Yeah, I love that penny story because I'll tell you a bit about what I do, and I do a similar thing, and it comes from my tradition. So,
do you have a money mantra?
We don't say something, but I'll tell you about it. Yeah. So so in our tradition, there's a god or a goddess for each aspect of society.
Money.
And so there is God, as in there's one God, but then there's loads of different gods for different departments of society. Kind of like you have a president or a prime minister, and then you have like the cabinet and that.
Who's the money god?
So it's a goddess called Lakshmi. That's
Lakshmi.
Yeah, and Lakshmi means wealth or fortune.
It's like luxury almost. Yeah, it's like Lakshmi. Yeah.
Maybe that's where it comes from. Who knows? But Lakshmi is the goddess of fortune or the goddess of wealth. And so you would never, ever put your foot on a goddess. So whenever you're walking the streets and you see pennies around, you're never meant to just walk past them. You're actually meant to pick them up and put them to your head.
Wow.
So that's kind of like part of our culture. And so whenever I'm walking around the streets of New York or LA, wherever I am, or subways, I do the same thing.
Interesting.
I'll always pick it up. And it's really funny because someone who's with me will be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? I'm like, because I'm showing respect. I'm actually showing respect to the goddess of fortune.
So good, man.
And so that's what it is. It's like I'm showing respect to the goddess of fortune by picking it up. And usually you give that money to charity or whatever it may be. It's not you trying to keep on it. You may give it away, whatever. But the point is you're saying, I'm not disrespecting the goddess of fortune wherever I see her.
That's beautiful.
Because I want to have a respectful relationship with money. I actually really love practices like that because I think it goes back to the point you're making that we have a relationship with everything.
Everything.
You have a relationship with your body, you have a relationship with your mind, you have a relationship with your partner, and you have a relationship with money. And so speaking to money and speaking about money is something you have to do if you want to love that thing and you want it to love you back, right? If you never talk about your partner and you never talk to your partner, how are they going to love you and how are you going to love them?
Imagine you're, Roddy, for the next month, you never say thank you.
Yeah.
You never look her in the eyes. You never speak to her. You avoid her constantly. Imagine like your relationship's going to suffer. I'm sure you guys will figure it out, but imagine if that's a lifetime of a relationship. It cannot survive. And here's a great question that I want everyone to ask themselves, and another exercise that I want everyone to think about right now, whether you're watching or listening. I want you to comment on the YouTube below what opened up for you during this moment. And I'm going to give you the exercise, Jay. So imagine this door opens and it's a person. And this person is money. It's the idea of money.
Yeah.
It's a person that walks in, right? Yeah. Is money. And could you, as an example for people to imagine this as well, what does that person look like when they come in? What would you do? What would you say or not say? Could you share kind of what that would be like for you? Money, a person walks in, they are money. They are the representation of your relationship with money.
Yeah.
How would you show up and react?
So in our culture, because it would be Lakshmi walking in, I'll show you a visual of her afterwards, you would actually bow down. Like you'd have that. And that's a sign of respect, not a sign of surrender or subjugation, but a sign of respect. Like you'd bow.
Yeah.
You'd offer her whatever she wanted. Like you'd be like, what do you need? Like, what would you like? Would you like a place to sit? Kind of like a guest in your home.
Like a generous host.
You treat them like a guest in your home. Yeah. Like, what would you like? Can I get you something to drink? Whatever it may be. Obviously she's a goddess. She doesn't need anything. But the point is that's how the hospitality would still be carried through.
That's cool.
And then you'd thank her as well. Like you'd start every connection with a god or a goddess with gratitude. So there'd be like a genuine appreciation and an ability to share how you feel. Like I think being vulnerable and saying, hey, like it's been really tough this month. Like I'm really struggling right now. Like this is what I'm going through. Like I need your help. Like a prayer almost.
Interesting.
Of sorts.
That's beautiful. And I've been asking a lot of people this. And so I love to hear people's responses and be honest in the YouTube comments below of your relationship with money. I asked someone close to me, someone younger, probably in their late 20s. I asked them, if money walked in and you were at a party, how would you respond? And they said, I would run to the bar. I would not make eye contact. I would gossip behind their back to other people there about money. I would look down at them, but then I would use them and abuse them because I would really need money. And I would ghost them afterwards. And I go, wow. And they were like, yeah, I know, it's really bad. But they were being honest. So I want people to be honest. Like, what is your relationship with money? And just imagine.
That's crazy.
If you were money and someone treated you that way, if they wouldn't look at you, they avoid you, they speak poorly behind your back, they would use you and abuse you when they wanted you, and then they'd ghost you when they didn't want to talk to you. Do you think money would want to keep showing up in your life if they were a person?
Yeah, definitely.
If they were a person, would they want to be in your life? Or they feel, this isn't a good relationship for me? And your show is all about helping people get healed, healthy, and whole. And if you want to create a richer, more abundant life, you have to create a healthy relationship with money in your life. And look at it as if this was a love of my life, not in a worshiping, like I worship it no matter what, but more of like, this is a bit like a person that I love and I want to treat them with care. I want to be a great host. How can I show up? And it doesn't mean it's always going to be perfect, but how can I show up and be generous, be kind, be patient, listen, be aware, and be of service to it?
Yeah, I think it'll make a huge difference.
Huge difference. I'm not saying you haven't had a beautiful, abundant, peaceful life as well with money, but I would bet to say that you've also experienced stress and overwhelm with money more than having no money. And a lot of people get blocked because they know that like, oh, more money, more problems is another like money lie, right? Or a money like wound that people might have. Like, I don't want to make more money because I see people who do have money, they're constantly stressed. They're not generous with it. They're stingy. They don't even tip at all. They're even more stingy with it, and they have it. So what's the point of having it if they're not generous? I don't want to be like that. And there can be money traps or money wounds when you have money if you haven't learned how to heal that relationship. And so it's learning how to heal the relationship so that when you grow your net worth, you also increase your self-worth inside and feel peaceful about it. You expand your nervous system, your container to receive abundantly so that it's not scary, it's not stressful. You can receive more and you can give more because you know that the more you relax, the more you receive. And when you give, it's going to come back in some way. I struggled with that. My first 6, 7, 8 years of making money, I hoarded money because I was afraid to go broke again.
Yeah.
And it limited me in certain ways, and it made me feel stressful. And it made me feel like people were trying to take advantage of me and take my money. It doesn't feel rich having money and living in scarcity still.
There was a beautiful thing that we'd always repeat in the monastery. It was like, God doesn't see what you give, God sees what you hold back.
Ooh.
And so there's not this,
man.
you know, because we can sometimes become egotistical about how much we give. And it's like, well, you got one hand behind your back. And that's, you just made that point. It's that pinch. It's that, are you giving where there's a challenge to give?
Yeah.
Because that's where we're healing. You can get really egotistical. Like, hey, if you were worth $1 billion and you signed $1 million check, like I know people that are making $3 million in interest a day. Like, so you writing $1 million check is not the same. This also applies when you have very little. So my parents who didn't make a lot, when they were giving,
it felt like a lot.
It felt like a lot. And so like what we're saying is that this thought of being a giver has to be core to us.
You know, my dad was a lot like that too.
Yeah.
He had strangers knocking on the door that somehow convinced him to stay with us for like 3 months in the summer. Who were, and he just opened his doors and said, yes, like, okay. And so he was just like your parents, like, okay, you need a place to stay for a week, a month, 2 months, cool, we'll figure it out. We'll feed you, we'll do this, as long as we feel like you're doing something good and we're trying to support you. And I think you don't have to give money to feel rich.
Yes.
You can be very generous with your time, with your resources in other ways, with your food. It's like you can give in other ways and create a richness of life. And that's the key, is to feel rich and abundant and free. And if you feel that, when you start making money, you're going to continue to feel free. The biggest trap is when you feel scarce and you start making money and you still feel trapped. You still don't feel free. That is an even greater prison in my mind, that you're living in scarcity when you have money.
I mean, there's so many people right now that have the pressure to save money, because we've been talking about making money.
Yes.
But there's this pressure to save money. And how do you find that balance between spending comfortably if you have the ability versus like saving for your future or your family?
Gosh.
Like, how do you think about that version?
Well, I think when you can live beneath your means and feel abundant, you've won. So when you live beneath your means and you don't need extra stuff, you've won. I just watched The Count of Monte Cristo the other night. It's an incredible movie of a guy who has nothing, who was born by, you know, back in the, 1700s or something. It's a period piece. He was born of like a clerk, a guy who makes no money. And his friend was born of like some general who had a lot of money or something. And this poor kid that grew up friends didn't have anything, but he had the world. He had no money, no possessions, but he just approached life as like, man, but here's a piece of string. Here's a rock that I can play with. Like, I can just imagine the beauty of the world, and he appreciated everything, even though he had no money. And I think in some ways, it's so hard to look at that when we see Instagram and TikTok where everyone has things.
That's the hard part, yeah.
When you see everyone else having fun with money and going on that trip with their girlfriends, or buying that expensive car to show off to their guy friends, or getting the nice watches, or having the cool shoes, and you thinking, oh, if I could really have money, then I could have these things that would make me feel cool or feel better. But if we can approach life and just be like, man, life is so good with what I have, that is true wealth. That is true abundance and happiness. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't strive to create more if you want more. If you want to have nice shoes or a nice watch, cool. You got to learn how to make money, and you want to learn how to make money easy, not make money hard. And that is a process in developing these skills, these talents within you, and seeing how you can monetize those skills. And I'm not saying don't splurge on certain things if you want to, but you have to understand the consequences. If you're going to splurge on something to have fun with friends or go on trips and spend this money that you maybe don't have just know there might be a consequence to that later. If you have to use a credit card, you have to pay that debt with interest later. So just know there's a cost to splurging or spending when you don't have it. I'm a big fan of saving and investing so that you can have freedom in the future and feel rich continually and not needing to buy things to feel richer.
Yeah. What about this idea of, I want to make money quick. Like I just want to make $1 million in a week. I want to find that hack that solves my money problems. Like, what's your take on that? Is that possible?
I've got money wounds, and it's because I wanted to make easy money in my past, not make money easy. And I don't know anyone that doesn't want to make easy money. Like, our ego wants it to come to us now. And when we find the quick hack or the quick investment that's going to 10x in 2 months. Sure, there's always outliers that figure out a way to do that. But every time I've tried to do that, I've lost my money. And it's been painful. And I'm like, okay, I think I've learned that lesson, but here's this new, like, quick, easy money opportunity. And every time I do it again, I'm like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
You see that others act like there's a way to do it so easy. If you just invest in crypto, if you just invest in this, if you just do this thing, you're going to make quick and easy money. I don't know anyone who's made hundreds of millions, millions, or billions who's lived that way. They might have invested and gone all in on one business and created generational wealth. Or maybe they went all in on investing in one main stock that ended up 10 or 20xing over time. But going the quick, make easy money way doesn't usually work. And it's painful lessons you have to live afterwards. So I don't know. Have you ever made quick, easy money?
No, I haven't, for sure. And I probably made mistakes when I had a bad relationship with money.
Yeah.
I remember one of my mentors in like 2013 told me to invest in crypto.
Oh.
And at the time, I thought to myself,
it's a scam.
I've only got, like at that time in my life, I probably had $1,000, right? Saved. Because I'd just come out, I just started working. I didn't have the money. So I was thinking, $1,000, what's it gonna do? Obviously, I was stupid. I didn't know.
That also wouldn't have been quick.
It wouldn't have been quick. It would have taken 10, 15 years. Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like,
it would have taken 12
we could
years.
always look back and say, oh, our friend told us to invest in this thing 10 years ago. And if I imagine if I did it 10 years, just like any stock.
Yeah.
If you invest in it and wait 10 years, it should go up if the company continues to do well.
But I've never made easy money. And I
agree. Well, you actually have made easy money after putting in a decade plus of work, a decade of developing skills, of monetizing your skills, and following the 7 habits we talk about in this book, which is, you can make easy money now. You can get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to speak for 60 minutes because you've added so much value in the world for the past decade plus. And even a decade before that of spiritual practice, before you even learned how to make money. So 2 decades of how do I develop skills within me to serve people, whether it be one-on-one, 1 to 10, 1 to 10,000. How do I develop those skills to serve and give generously? You have followed this mindset perfectly, which is a mindset of generosity and gratitude. And that's all you did for essentially the last 2 decades. How can I learn how to become a better human? How can I give generously? And how can I be appreciative and grateful for the life that I have? And you had no money for almost 4 years as a monk. But I would bet that you lived a beautifully rich life. You didn't need the money to feel rich. You felt provided for. You had nature. You had community. You were learning. You got to be on purpose. You got to serve. And what a beautiful gift to receive. And you had no money in your bank account, but you were probably one of the richest people that you knew. And that is beautiful.
Yeah.
That is abundant.
Yeah. And that's something that definitely doesn't change with the financial change.
If I have no money right now, how can I get to a place where you were at, where I had the richest, most abundant life? Because I was working on me. I was a giver. I was generous with my time and my energy and my resources, with whatever I had. And then how can I start to earn more money, make money easy by feeling effortless internally, expanding my nervous system so that it can receive more and feel safe? That is a rich, abundant life.
And that's what we're all really looking for.
And me and you both know people who have hundreds of $1 million that they've exited companies and they're not happy. It doesn't mean having more money equals happiness. You still have to learn how to heal you and have a healthy relationship with yourself and money, even when you have it.
When you're looking for a quick fix and a quick win, the problem is the speed at which you win is the speed at which you lose.
Yes.
Right? So if you think, I'll put money into this now, I'll make something in a week, chances are, like you said, you lose it immediately.
You lose it in a day.
You lose it in a day. And the reason that happens is because you actually don't know why you're putting your money there. So it goes back to your first point of awareness. It goes back to something you call the mapping habit, the plan. Because what's going on is you're saying, I want this to happen now. I want this to happen immediately. I want this to happen quickly. So I know zero about this crypto. I know zero about this property. I've had friends literally gamble away their life savings because they heard all their friends were making money through crypto.
Or real estate.
When people say to me, I've got this much money, what should I invest in? I'm like, what do you know about? Invest in that. What do you actually know about? Like, what do you actually have experience, knowledge, wisdom in? Because guess what? Because of that, you'll make money on it. Because you actually understand it. Again, it goes back to the point of respect. If we don't respect our audience, it doesn't grow. If you don't respect your community, it doesn't grow. If you don't respect your clients, it doesn't grow. By us saying, I want to make money, but I know nothing about this industry, it means I'm disrespecting the industry. And sure, there may be one person who had some lucky story that they tell you about, but the truth is most of us are not going to get there. So if you have a little bit of money and you're like, Jay, I've only got $100 to invest. Lewis, I've only got $1,000 to invest. And you ask me where to put it in what you know. Put it in yourself. If that's all you know is yourself and your skills. And I think so many of us are looking for that ticket. But actually, that investment in yourself will pay so many dividends.
This is. I'm glad you said this because a week ago, someone literally asked me if I have $1,000 right now to invest, where should I invest it? And everyone says, put it in crypto, put it in real estate funds, put it in all these things. Don't listen to any of that. When I had no money, there was two things that I needed to create more of a currency within me, and that was courage and confidence. I lacked the courage to develop certain skills. When I had courage to go all in on learning public speaking or learning how to write, I didn't know those skills. I actually lacked those skills. And I was afraid to be a failure at those things by trying them. But by having the courage to invest my time and energy in a public speaking class, in a writing coach, I didn't have the skills, but I developed the courage. That courage created the actions to create confidence. That confidence created a currency within me of belief. That belief dictated my behaviors to start charging more, to go out there and ask for more, to put myself out there in bigger ways. And so if you have $1,000 or $5,000 right now and you want to figure out where to invest it in courage to learn new skills that will give you confidence. That will be an incredible currency that you'll have forever.
I mean, Lewis, I'm so excited for people to read this book. Honestly, I love this conversation because we're both sitting here as people who, like you said, not finished our money journey either. We're I've got so many years left to learn so much more. The reason why I empathize with it is I never ever thought I'd be financially abundant, mentally or physically.
Me either.
And I know you feel the same way.
Dude, I would never figure out how to make money.
Same. I really empathize with everyone who's listening, going, I'm stuck. I'm trying to figure this out. But I really do believe it starts with this because this is the work you'll have to do whether you make money tomorrow or in 10 years, and no matter how much you make, you're still going to have to do this work in this book. Because even if you find a way to make money and you become really, really financially successful, you will never feel free in that financial success without doing this work. And you'll still feel anxious and you'll still feel stressed and you'll still feel all of that, right?
I tell a story in the book about, I used to live in an apartment building here in LA. It was really sad. There's a lot of wealthy people in this building that I lived in, a lot of celebrities and billionaires. I was the poorest person there, which is another lesson, which is to put yourself in rooms where you can mastermind with people and be around proximity of people who have more so you can learn from them. But I was on a trip and I came back from a trip driving back into the valet of my building. And there was a tent in the valet, like in the driveway. And I kind of jokingly said to the valet attendant as I pulled into the building, I said, someone didn't jump, did they? Kind of like joking. And the guy looked at me with like a serious face, like, yeah, it just happened like 30 minutes ago. And I was like, this can't be real. It was like, what? there's billionaires in here, there's millionaires in here, there's celebrities in here. I was like, why would anyone in this building take their own life? And it was kind of like just this shock to me because I learned later who this person was. Someone did jump off the building right before I came back, and he was worth hundreds of millions of dollars, net worth. You just Googled his name. And I was just thinking, why would someone worth so much money take their life? And I don't want to assume what really happened, but it doesn't mean having all the money in the world is going to solve all your problems and you're going to feel like you can love and accept yourself, that you have self-worth. So like you said, you may learn how to make a lot of money, but if you haven't learned how to heal your relationship with you, then all the money in the world can't save your life and can't make you feel rich, can't make you feel abundant, can't make you have beautiful relationships with friends, family, colleagues. And that's where the real wealth comes in life, when you have deep, meaningful relationships. And something I want to acknowledge that you do really well is you follow this first habit, the mindset habit, so well, which is, how can I be generous with my time, my energy, my love for friends, family, colleagues, your community? This community feels it. Everyone listening and watching right now, feel your generosity, your giving heart, and your gratitude for them, whether it be individually or collectively. They feel it. And most people, they want to make more money, but they don't have that generosity, that grateful spirit, and they want the quick fix. They want to make easy money quick, not make money easy. And the billionaires that I know you know, and the millionaires that we know we've interviewed, and I'll ask them this question: what do you think the key to creating more financial abundance every year after year is for you? Every billionaire or mega millionaire will say, giving more. I make more when I give more that year. Whether it be giving more to charities, whether it be giving to people in my life, whether it be giving back to my community, giving back to my employees, my business, finding ways to give more and almost give where it feels a little uncomfortable. Like, oh, that was a big check I just wrote. Okay, oh man, I care about this cause, this charity. I feel safe giving this amount, but what really would make it uncomfortable? Or I go to church every week and I typically give this, but what would make me feel a little uncomfortable? Most of these people say the more they give, when it's the most uncomfortable, somehow they just keep earning more. And I'm not saying you should give all your money away and you're going to earn more back, but having that mindset of generosity, and you do this very well, where you give to your community. Whenever there's some type of breakdown in the world, you're one of the first people to say, how can we give? How can we rally the troops? You give first. You rally the troops, say, let's give back. The fires happened. Stuff happened in India a couple of years ago. Stuff's always happening. And you say, we're going to give. I don't know if that seems something conscious you think about, like, oh, by giving more every year, it helps me make more, but also I feel richer. And when you do that with everyone in your life, whether you're the hostess and you give curiosity, love, passion, fun, playfulness, you're giving something in that moment.
Yeah.
If you can write a check for something that is a cause and you give, it's because you can and you do it generously. It's just going to make you richer inside.
Yeah.
And you're creating an energy of abundance to attract more.
I think for me, it was watching my parents. So for all the other things I said about just enough and everything, my parents always gave in charity. Our home was always a home where everyone was welcome. My mom would happily cook dinner for everyone, even though, we didn't have everything.
Yeah.
And so my parents had this generous heart at the same time.
They probably felt rich in that.
For sure.
Generosity.
For sure. Yeah. And they did it when we didn't have a lot. Like my parents, now when I realize how much my parents made and how much they gave in charity, the proportions were pretty off. And I think for me, I just felt so fortunate and I feel so lucky and I feel so grateful that I have been able to find abundance in my life, that I feel like the only natural reaction to that has to be to give.
Yeah.
When I came back to LA with the fires and everything, I was just grateful to come back to a home.
Yeah.
But not everyone I know came back to a home. And so I felt grateful that I had a home. And so I was like, okay, what can we do? And so I think it comes from a place of gratitude again. It comes from a place of seeing my parents be so generous, even though they had nothing to give actually. And it ultimately comes to me because I just feel like there's no better use for it in the long run than that. And I do believe it will come back in its own way.
Yeah.
I don't give it because I want it back. I give it because I believe there's a need. But I do deeply believe that it will come back in its own way, and it always has. The book's called Make Money Easy, Create Financial Freedom and Live a Richer Life. Lewis Howes. Lewis, I'm so grateful genuinely for this conversation. It's left me feeling so rich. I've always felt rich in our friendship. And I'm really glad that you wrote about it in this way, because I think there's lots of great money experts out there who are giving really good, sound financial advice.
Yeah, that's not
what this is.
Yeah.
And I think we need all of it. But I think this is a deep part, because I know for me personally, this has been really deep work. And you put it into a book. And so I'm so grateful that people get to access it.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you for doing this. Everyone who's been listening or watching, read the book, learn the habits, tag me and Lewis on Instagram, on TikTok. Let me know what's resonating with you, what's connected with you. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear what skill you invested in. I want you to turn up at your job, even if you hate it. I want you to turn up to it with all the love that you possibly have. See whose mind you blow, who gets impressed by what you're doing. Someone's going to be able to shift your life at some point. And it's going to start with you, but just don't underestimate the value of these things that sound simple and they sound like I've got to figure out something more complex. No. This is where it starts. And this will mean that at the end of it, you'll be happy. So thank you to Lewis. Thank you to each and every one of you. And yeah, make money easy.
Appreciate it, brother.
Make money easy. I love you, bro. If you love this episode, you'll love my conversation with Dr. Joe Dispenza on why stress and overthinking negatively impacts your brain and heart, and how to change your habits that are on autopilot. Listen to it right now.
How many times do we have to forget until we stop forgetting and start remembering? That's the moment of change. No one cares how many times you fell off the bicycle. If you ride the bicycle now, you ride the bike.